Hi, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Write More Light. Today I am joined by Erica Eastland and Sam Bruner of Sonder Midwest. They are both former Young Emerging Writer interns and Young Emerging Writers staff. And now they run a magazine. They're college students and all around awesome people. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, I'm very excited about the work you guys are doing. So I have a few questions about being a writer, and then I have more questions about running a publication. As always, with Write More Light, we're going to do the writing talk, and then we're going to move into a free write. Maybe y'all will run the free write for me. I didn't warn you about that, but that could be more fun than me doing it. So questions for both of you. How do you stay active as writers, as artists, as creatives while you're in college, while you have jobs?
Do you want me to answer first, or do you want to, Erica?
Sure, you can go first. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's pretty easy because my major, I go to ISU, Illinois State, not Iowa State. My major is creative technologies, so I can incorporate my writing into a lot of my assignments. So it's easier for me to stay active in the writing community and continue my writing career when my major is also something that can be manipulated to suit what I need it to do.
No, that's super important. I also found in college when I was taking writing classes, I was like, hey, look, I am a real writer.
Yeah, I don't think if I was in a creative major, I would be able to write as much as I do now, because between work and college, it's just, there's no extra time.
What about you, Erica?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, like, writing and like staying creative has been super difficult for me. I was an English major at St. Ambrose University, but now I'm a Women and Gender Studies major and an English minor, simply because I had enough credits to get the minor. And so writing while I was in the English major was a lot easier because I was taking those kinds of classes, and also participating in any events that I could to be creative and keep up with my creativity. But being out of that major and being a college student and having a job and multiple jobs has been super difficult to keep up with writing. So I haven't been writing as much, unfortunately. But during the summer, I'm still able to participate in the Young Emerging Writers internship as an assistant program director. So that's kind of my way of getting my writing fix. So that's been really nice to do.
My university, and this is probably like a lack of funding or something really sad, but my university had the Women and Gender Studies program as part of the English department. Our film studies was also part of the English department, which was really cool because then, you know, part of your assignments were interrogating this history of representation, but also like probably it should have been in a social sciences program or something. I'm having a cat problem. I'm sorry, guys. Fun. Yeah, I've found as a creative who has a life and requirements that it's definitely an act of self-care to try to figure out where to get the writing in. Have you felt like when you're not writing, you're not, or creating, I don't want to limit art to just one medium, that it does feel like you're lacking something?
I mean, I definitely say so, yes. Like, writing is always in the back of my mind. And it's not that I'm not writing, it's just I'm not able to sit down and writing, like creatively write, and also to work on my writing. So I'm writing in, digital formats on my phone, or just writing small things here and there, but not writing like, or, this like writing that we think writing is.
Yeah.
And like it becomes like that kind of writing, that's sitting down and writing for 10 minutes every day, it becomes kind of like a chore almost to me.
Yeah.
which is really difficult, especially like when you like something like that, and like especially as a student, it makes this work seem like it's a chore, and so that sucks. But yeah, I mean, like I'm definitely still writing in some ways, so and even that is, yeah, it's a form of self-care for sure. So
I know.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
no, I just said Erica said it great. I couldn't have said that better myself.
My favorite, I don't know if y'all were at the keynote in 2019. My favorite piece of writing advice I've ever heard was to do one thing every day to further your writing. That was Ben Miller quoting David R. Collins, and that took so much pressure off me personally. It was like, oh, I could just think about my project. I don't know, it's not the same at all, but I've found it really helpful as far as like being stressed about being an artist. Do you have advice for people who are maybe coming into this world of, I think personally, as someone who went to college and is no longer in college, that being a college student and working is probably the busiest a person can be. I mean, obviously there are lots of us out of college or pre-college or never going to college who have multiple jobs and children and homes to take care of and whatever. But I think that, going to school, especially full-time, is a job. And having a job outside of that, that's some of the busiest you're ever going to be, especially with trying to have a social life, which I think most college people do. And I don't know, existing during a pandemic. That's, yeah, some of the most stressful, some of the most busy I've certainly ever been. Do you have advice for people who are maybe entering that realm and trying to figure out how to balance?
I mean, I personally, I really like spreadsheets. So I tried the calendar thing, but it doesn't work too well for me. So I just make a spreadsheet of all my assignments that I have due for the entire semester, as long as I know when they're due. And that way I can kind of time manage and figure out when I have free time and when I can sit down and do the things that I enjoy, because you absolutely have to do the things you enjoy. Otherwise you're going to get burnt out so quick.
I never in a million years thought anyone would say a spreadsheet was the answer. I love that so much. That is so nerdy and probably so effective.
I think I'm going to use it now. I think I'm going to start spreadsheeting after this. Yeah, I use Google Calendar. I use a planner. And so I think planning out that time helps for me, but also just getting time in when I can for like being creative. Like I said, just like writing little things and being creative in little ways that end up becoming or end up like working towards a bigger goal, I think is really important for me specifically. So
totally. Something I have tried really hard to force myself to do is when I'm like in a waiting room or sorry, this is going to be TMI, in the bathroom, instead of picking up my phone, I bring a book of poetry with me. There's not a lot of waiting rooms anymore in COVID, but in those moments when the easiest thing to do is pick up my phone, I've been reading poetry because it's such a small commitment most of the time. Sometimes there's long poems or really, really heavy poems. Do you do anything where you try to sneak the creative stuff in? I know with like music or movies, film, I guess, those are easier to consume on the go, but do you have any little tips or tricks like that to keep art in your life?
I definitely, I have a Kindle, so I also have the Kindle app on my phone. So if I'm staying in line, like a couple weeks ago, I was at the DMV. Instead of just scrolling through social media aimlessly, I just read a book instead. But also I use like Wattpad and Inkit for content creators that aren't necessarily published in like the capital P published sense, I guess. But because I have a really hard time of trying to fit in art and like consuming art and stuff when I could just be scrolling aimlessly through social media, because it's less mind intensive and it's just aimless. So I find that using my phone to do that stuff and consume art makes it a little bit easier to trick my mind into like
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is a really good trick. There's something like endorphin inducing about phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I think like most of it, my art consumption comes from social media and comes from, like Instagram or finding something on Facebook from a friend. So trying to like populate my timeline or my feed with other artists and other people that I want to be engaged with, I think is the best way that I've been able to do it, rather than looking at aimless things on like things that don't matter. So
that's super smart. I wouldn't have thought of that, which sucks. I'm gonna try and do that now. Just filling the scroll with art is genius and so easy.
Yeah,
I do that a lot on Pinterest. I have like most of my Pinterest dashboard is like prompts and writing tips. So I can just go through and read it, and then as I'm reading like the different prompts, I start coming up with stories in my own head. Even if I don't write them down, I'm still technically writing.
Oh, that's amazing. I have no idea how to make Pinterest work for me. I might poke you about that. I try it every time I like have a project. I'm like, Pinterest is the way to go, and then I just get sucked into like bathroom remodels. That's so awesome. You guys are so clever. I'm so glad I asked that. So next, I'm going to move on to asking you guys about your publication. So first, I want to play that that video you made for it, and then we'll go from there. If that's
okay.
Sounds good.
Cool with everybody. Sam and Erica run a magazine called Sonder Midwest, and I believe Sam made this video that we're going to watch.
To me, the definition of Sonder is the idea that we're all interconnected and that we all are living lives simultaneously, even though we don't really think about each other's lives. Sonder Midwest is a small literary magazine that two undergraduate women publish. Sonder was founded in July of 2017.
It was initially founded by Erica Eastland, Sam Bruner, and Lauren Romer. We had all met at a writing internship with the Midwest Writing Center.
Or I guess we started Sonder because we wanted to continue the work that we were doing in our writing internship, and also a great way to continue our writing skills and our reading skills, our critical thinking skills, and so we decided to do it, and it's been really rewarding seeing the growth of the audience that we have, and also the growth of our experience in the magazine process. So it's really great. What was the starting process like? The starting process was very slow and also very expensive. It's a lot of work, and if you are dedicated to it, it's doable, but if you don't really want to do it, then it's really difficult because, for example, we had to read 400 submissions this past time, and each of those submissions can have up to 5 pages of work, and that's a lot of words to read. So my role in the process is to kind of help spearhead things, keep us on task during our meetings. I'd say I'm kind of the leader in the whole thing, both financially and also as far as planning goes.
I am in charge of the design of the entire magazine. I make the most correspondence with the submitters after they are accepted for publication. I also vet through most of the submissions initially and make sure that they follow guidelines so we don't waste our times reading submissions that don't meet them. Sonder is currently working on a couple of really exciting things. In January, we're coming out with the first themed issue that we are completely hand-making, and it'll be limited edition. We're also currently looking into getting a new logo, and of course we're reading submissions for issue 5, which will come out in April. I think Erica and I both really hope that Sonder goes on for a long time. We both enjoy the process, we both enjoy spending time together while we work on it. It's a lot of hard work, but it's very rewarding work.
So the fun and terrible thing about that is I have so many fewer questions after we watch it. I love that. So it's a little outdated. You're currently working on issue 6 and taking submissions for issue 7. That was kick-ass, by the way. I assume, Sam, that you did all the technical work on making the video, since you're a...
Yeah, I made it last year in my web video class. It definitely needs to be redone. But I was learning, so it's okay that it looks like that because we all have to start somewhere.
You all look like tiny babies in all those pictures. That was amazing. I also really like the video of you guys talking on video. That made me happy.
I just realized that was there. I just realized that, so.
That's how we do the magazine because I live in Bloomington full-time. So Erica lives up here in the Quad Cities. So I can't always make it back, especially if there's like bad weather or it's like the middle of the semester when life is happening very fast.
So we've been doing this before it was cool. Like,
yeah.
We've been working on our mag like this. Yeah, the whole time almost, so.
Mm-hmm.
So how old is it now? How often does an issue come out?
So we publish biannually. So we publish in the spring and in the fall. So around April and around October. And we are 3 years in. Our anniversary was in July. So yeah, so we're on 6. This is our 6th issue that we're going to be starting to work on right now.
That's so ambitious. Twice a year for a physical print.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we also had a mini issue that we published in January. So we've published 7 issues, or 6 issues total. This will be our 7th issue, but yeah, 7th publication that we're working on right now, so.
That is amazing. Maybe this is sort of a difficult question, but do you have a mission in mind with Sonder?
Do you want to talk to that, or do you want me to talk to that?
You're better at explaining it than I am, so I'm gonna
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so like the idea is very similar to the Young Emerging Writers internship in that we wanted to create a space for people, for young, emerging, and underrepresented writers to like have a space to publish, because for me specifically as a high schooler and as like an aspiring writer, I didn't really have accessibility to the idea that I could publish as like a 15-year-old or like as a young person, and I didn't know about the world of literary magazines until I was in the internship, and because of that I wanted to continue that, and I think both Sam and I wanted to share that with other people, other kids, and other writers in general, because like there's this big capital P publish capital P, published author, best-selling author idea that everybody strives for and wants to be at, but it's actually much more attainable to be published than we all think. And so I think by creating this publication, we're able to bring people into the world of publishing in a much easier way, a much more accessible way for people, so that they can get some experience with publishing and also get a first publication under their belt. So by having a first publication on their resume, they are able to go to other publications that are like more reputable than us or bigger than us, and say, like,
not reputable.
Yeah, not reputable is not the word, but yeah, I guess more established than us. Yeah. What?
It's a killer publication. I've read it.
Okay, but thank you. And so yeah, so like being able to say like, hey, I've been published by this small publication, like, please publish me. Like, sometimes that's all that people need to be noticed and recognized. And so by providing that, we're able to, you know, help writers. I mean, we actually just recently received a message that one of our submitters, our contributors, is getting his first book published, right? His first chapbook, I think.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're able to help people like that and get, you know, give them the motivation to keep writing, which is really important. So
But also the I guess I think you said credibility, but like just that line in your bio or on your CV does make a huge difference for being able to go out there to other places and say like, look, I'm good enough.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I think you said this, or sorry, Sam, did you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I guess it's not just young authors. We've had a couple of submitters who are in their 50s, if not older, and we were their first publication. So I guess it kind of reaffirms that it's never too late to really follow your dreams. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we originally wanted to target young, emerging as like a group, but I think it's young, emerging, because I mean, these writers, or underrepresented writers, like I said, it's not just young people, it's older people, it's other people that have their PhD. I mean, we have so many people that submit to us that are that have graduate degrees, and they're just trying to get their first publication creatively, and like that's so cool to be able to provide a space for them to be published or have their work looked at. So
Do you if someone is more established, does that give you pause before publishing?
yeah, so our guideline is 5 publications or less. So that's a specific question that is asked of every single submitter. And so if somebody has more publications than that, we will weed them out because they're not following our guidelines. So because this publication is specifically for those people that have 5 publications or less. So we want to keep it open for them.
So on that, I'm going to go to your submittable page for folks who are interested. It's on Submittable, sondermw.submittable.com. And it looks like spring. It says we're always accepting submissions. I know you just closed for issue 6. You're currently accepting for issue 7 until March, it looks like. You've got really clear guidelines. I know that, Sam, you said you vet and make sure that people are following directions, because you're not going to accept work if people aren't. You accept visual art, poetry, fiction. You did not accept nonfiction?
We will take anything, writing-wise. We take a lot of hybrid stuff too. We just didn't put nonfiction because we were getting a lot of nonfiction submissions that were way over our page allotment, so we just kind of took it off and said if they actually have any questions or it's not listed, they need to email us first.
Awesome. Cool. I'm gonna stop the screen share. Awesome. You guys have such a clear mission. I love that. I love how you are sorry. I love how you're so active in fostering art. I also love the name. I remember learning the word Sonder. It's I know you talked about it, Erica, in the video, but like the realization that every single human is like a full human. That's
Yeah.
really that's a great name. Is the Midwest part because you're located in the Midwest, or do you specifically want to publish Midwestern writers and artists?
Do you want me to take this one, Erica? Okay, so we originally had Midwest because we were going to target publishing just people from the Midwest, but we haven't necessarily stuck to that at all. So we kind of, like, at this point, Midwest is just because we're based in the Midwest. We have published people all over the US and in other countries, Ireland, and a couple other places that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's insane, honestly, just the amount of just different countries that have submitted to us. We've had a lot of people from India submit to us. It's just really, it's a surreal thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do another screen share, show folks the website. It is Sonder, SONDERMW.com. Here's a link to the submittable. Looks like issue 6 is coming soon. My goodness, a lot of pressure. I assume that submitters get a copy. Yeah.
So at this time, contributors do not get copies, but they get a reduced price of the copy. So they get to buy the copy at cost.
Awesome. So I'm now
that's just because we're a small magazine. So
yeah, and it's not cheap.
right.
I'm clicking through.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the other things that we do, and Sam might have more to say about this, is that it's an online magazine. It's not just a print magazine, because we want to have access for people. So I don't know, Sam, if you want to say anything else about that.
Yeah, so on this website blurb, if you click on the issue, you can actually make it go full screen and you can read the issue digitally. So, which is another reason we don't offer contributor copies, because we do offer it for free online. We did this because we really want to make art accessible for everyone, and especially since we want to publish newer or younger writers, they may not have the money to buy something like this, so we wanted to keep in mind and make it accessible to everyone possible.
That's great. I did not realize that you could look through it on the website, because it's a print edition. In a lot of places it's one or the other. So that yeah. Also, this is a great format. So I don't know if folks who are watching along at home saw. I just went to sondermw.com. I clicked on menu here at the top, clicked issues, and then just clicking here, and then did the full screen. It is gorgeous. I know how much work goes into this. I'm really impressed.
It definitely didn't start out looking that good. Our first couple of issues, I'm going to pretend don't even exist. They are real bad, and I will be the first to admit it. I had no clue what I was doing, but I've definitely learned, and I've enjoyed the learning process. So,
no, it's a lot of work. No one who has done this could fault it for looking like HTML even. That's awesome. Were you gonna say something, Erica?
No.
Okay, sorry. Do you guys have anything else you want to add, either about writing or about running a magazine?
I don't think I do, Erica.
I don't think so either. I mean, it's definitely difficult and it's financially difficult. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, and to go off that, we don't make it an easy process for ourselves. We have a very quick turnaround. Our submissions for issue 6 closed September 1st. We're releasing a new issue on October 23rd. Was that? Yeah. So in less than a month, we read all of the submissions, which can be over 200, 300 at times, and then get back to the submitters and then start the whole process. I designed the magazine in about 18 hours.
You should stop that. That sounds terrible. Like I like deadlines; they keep me motivated. But like that sounds impossible to me, and I do not envy you. However, as someone who submits, like that's got to feel so good to get notice and then get the product. That's awesome. Y'all are kicking ass. Do you, as writers, I think probably working on a publication makes you see other publications a little differently. I know for me that's true. I'm a little more judgmental. What do you look for when you're submitting to places, or do you just have way too much work that's sort of more of an abstract goal at this point?
I mean, for me, it's definitely an abstract goal. We on our Twitter, which is just Sonder MW, we follow a lot of lit mags. It's a great community, and if you're not following a lot of literary magazines on Twitter, you should be. There's a ton of them, and a lot of them are very good people. But yeah, I haven't submitted anything. I haven't been published since I was in the intern program 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. Time's a social construct.
Yeah. It's been 14 years since March. I know.
Yep. So I want to start submitting again, but it's also like I have to have the time to write something. I have to have the time to polish that something, and then I have to have the time to sit down and find the right home for it and submit to a ton of places. And that's not something attainable for me right now.
That is, that's real. Finding the right home for your piece is hard work. It takes research. You can't just be like, well, this place accepts, I don't know, sonnets, as if anyone is writing those. So I'll submit here. That's a lot of work. What about you, Erica?
I mean, I'm the same way. Like it's definitely a goal. But I think like on that note of even finding time to write, like at least having a community that like we're welcome into, a community of writers, and like having Sam as a friend and having you, even Sarah, like that is motivating enough, you know, for me. I know that it's my goal after I graduate to actually sit down and do some writing. So that's what I'm looking forward to after this college life.
That motivation is hard. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. You may get more free time, which is a bonus, but you may not. I totally agree. Having artist friends makes a huge, huge difference for me, because I feel like there's someone to be accountable to. Or I'm like, if if you hit me up and you're like, hey, what are you up to? I don't want to be like, nothing. Not writing. I watch TV, watching TV is fine and good, and the art form we should consume. But I don't like having to tell people I'm not creating. That's a really good point. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna move on unless you have anything to add to our free write, and y'all are welcome to jump off or give the free write itself. I was going to go with with a prompt of Sonder.
We were actually gonna recommend that anyway, and I was just gonna mention that. So yes, sometimes, I mean, we get submissions of that is people writing to our name. So if that's something that viewers want to do, is write something in response to the definition of Sonder and what that means to them in whatever format, prose, poetry, hybrid, whatever, photos, if that's a thing people want to do. Then yeah, those are submissions that we welcome with much joy.
I love that. So I have the definition up. I know we talked about it twice now. The realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. So I've got 5 minutes on the timer here. I'm also receiving a call, so don't mind that. Let's free write. I have often said my free writes often turn into journaling. You don't have to take the prompt too seriously if that's too much pressure, but I'm going to. And for anyone who's going to tune out at this point, thank you so much for being with us. I hope that this amazing interview, I had a great time, has inspired you to write more light into your life.
All right, well, thank you, Sarah, for having me and Sam and I, and Sonder in general. So enjoy writing to the prompt.
Thank you so much for coming. I am so excited about Sonder. I'm really sad. Which is weird. I'm really sad I can't submit. That was so. Thank you again.
Thank you.
For those still with us, we have 3 minutes, 13 seconds left of our free write. And of course, keep writing after the video. That's one of the reasons I like to do it at the end here, so that you can go forward with your day and be a writer. This is, I think, a realization we all have, Sonder, at some point in our lives. And I always find it mind-blowing when you just are like in traffic and you see someone and you just realize they're a whole person. I think especially, right now during a pandemic, it's startling to think about the vivid and full and real lives that people go through. So this is a really exciting prompt that I keep interrupting. I think, there have been whole projects dedicated to stuff like this. In an earlier video, I talked about how I did the personality profiles of IHOP. But, there have been projects where someone writes little vignettes on each person on a bus. That's a cool concept, and it's a scary concept. All right, 5 minutes is up. I got into a weird philosophical state with that one. I know I kept interrupting it, but that's because just the concept blows my mind. I hope that that was fruitful for y'all. And as always, I hope that you write more light into your life. Let us know. Throw some comments down. Send us a message. Tweet at us, MWC_QC. That's on Instagram and Twitter. Let us know what you want from the Midwest Writing Center, what resources you could use, who I could interview for you. We want to be there. We want to be a resource. We want to provide. We want to be part of your life. Do you want to come on? Do you want to talk to me about writing? Let us know. And as always, write more light into your life.